Off. So thanks for taking the time to attend this webinar. It is precisely 4 weeks after we launched Signal Hive, and I hope the last month has been somewhat profitable for you. Obviously, we had some hiccups over the last few weeks, especially in week one. But the good news is that our engineers have installed some pretty intelligent stabilizers in some of the robotic algorithms. So what that meant was that performance was pretty stable for the Hive week in and week out. And that's, of course, very much in line with our own long-term targets for the Hive. All right, so I'm going to read you this risk disclaimer and then we can get straight into it. The contents of this material are for informational purposes only and do not constitute investment advice. Blue Sky Binary assumes no responsibility for any potential errors, inaccuracies, or omission in this material. Nothing in this communication contains or should be considered as containing an investment advice or an investment recommendation or a solicitation for the purpose of purchase or sale of any financial instrument. Binary options trading may not be suitable for all investors as it carries a very high degree of risk to your capital. Trading such products is risky and you may lose all of your investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Poor fill rates, expiry times, market volatility, and platform errors could result in losing trades. Before deciding to invest in binary options, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. You should be aware of all the risks associated with foreign exchange and binary options trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. The agenda for today is to go over our mission statement. I'm going to reiterate it. I've already done that in the launch webinar a few weeks ago, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, you as the users of Hive and us as the providers of Hive. Then I'll delve straight into the performance. We'll give you a detailed breakdown straight from our analytics section, which is being added to all of your Hives as well very soon. And I want to spend a little bit of time discussing on how exactly to trade the Hive, right? The worst thing to do is just sign up to the Hive, get your $1,000 account, and start following the signals immediately. There is a process, and we're just going to detail the recommended process. And last but not least, 2 new key features are coming to the Hive very soon. ETA about 10 days. So I wanted to detail those as well. This is our mission statement. The mission statement of Blue Sky Binary is a little bit different than the one at Signal Hive. The Signal Hive is very much focused and is catering to the mass market, the part of the market which is not so interested in education and takes trading in a more leisurely and hopefully income generating view. So our mission statement in Signal Hive is to create the conditions for profitable outcomes through the beaming of reliable trade recommendations. Okay. Remember, we're not saying we want to create a push button money making machine, right? That is just absolutely not what we're about. And the markets are just too smart for anyone to create such a product, right? It would just destroy the financial markets, destroy brokerages. So what we're doing with Signal Hive is to create the necessary conditions for profitable outcomes, or the environment in which you can generate profit and grow your capital base through time. And it's two pretty different things, right? So what does that actually mean? How are we going about by creating the conditions that are conducive for capital growth? So firstly, we have a performance benchmark. Signal Hive will remove any signal stream that performs consistently below 60%, both human and robotic. Signal Hive aims to ensure that streams added or removed to the system do not destabilize the Hive as a system in terms of group performance and group ITM, right? So if we were to remove the extreme and remove the curve or whatever, would that destabilize the Hive's profitability in the long term? We can run back tests on that and we can see how it would have stabilized or destabilized the Hive in the last 3 years. So we have that capability now. But of course, we won't do this if we see that it could potentially destabilize the group ITM, which is what counts. All streams are thoroughly back tested and forward tested, both robotic and human traders, before they're added to the Hive. So what that means is our research and development wing comes up with a strategy. We automate it for the robots, or we teach it to certain senior traders. We back test it with the robots as far as time permits us, normally 3 years. Okay. But then we also forward test it in a staging environment for about a month. So right now, for example, the automation of Hive, the automatic trading program, which will allow you to have all the Hive trades automated in your account, is being forward tested. It's been back tested, but it's actually being forward tested to make sure it actually works, right? And when it passes our own quality benchmark, that's when it's released to the public. And the same thing applies to our signal streams. And with that in mind, some of our signal streams, especially the robotic ones, are unstable. They are profitable over time, but it's not about flying a 747 jet, from JFK, New York to London and just landing the plane, even if it crashes, as long as everyone gets there in time. It's about actually making the journey smooth. And applying that analogy to signals, we're not happy with a signal stream that's 70% ITM over 3 years back tested, but in 1 week it's at 30% ITM, in 1 week it's at 100. Because in the week it's at 30%, we're going to lose clients, we're going to destabilize the system profitability. So what we've added is we've added stabilizer algorithms to some of our more unstable streams, such as the extreme, for example, right? And that's bearing fruit slowly. So that's good to see. And last but not least, and actually very topically, given what's happening in Greece as I'm giving this webinar right now and what this could mean for the next week, macroeconomic conditions are continuously monitored, and in rare circumstances, forced shutdown of signals is often conducted in order to ensure high accuracy. Next week, you have a death wish if you're going to be trading the Hive's robotic signals. In fact, we're considering shutting them down. The main reason behind this is we don't know when Tsipras is going to come out and make whatever statement and how that's going to go down. Tuesday is the last day before Greece officially enters insolvency or officially is unable to pay its loans, and that could trigger a lot of systemic destabilization across assets, right? Not only currencies, let alone binary options, but commodities and fixed income. So next week is one of these key weeks that happens every once in a while, every 2 or 3 years, where it's just better not to follow signals. That's me being blunt. Now you can, of course, if you have a higher risk appetite, you can follow all the signals, right? But we would suggest, especially the robotic ones, that next week we could get moves of up to 1,000 pips in the euro, possible, right? Both up and down. And our team is continuously monitoring these events, and next week is one of them. And when we see this on the horizon, we will shut down the signals, right? So this is basically the steps that we're taking as a group to ensure the Hive is stable through the long run. And what that means for us is we want every week, not every day is going to be difficult, but every week to be profitable for the Hive. That's our goal. Like the last 4 weeks since Hive has been launched, were profitable. There was not a single week where we had below 58% ITM. Okay. In fact, most weeks were above 62%. So with that in mind, let's get to group performance. This is straight out of the analytics section. By the way, all of you are going to be getting access to this. So what you see here is since the launch, 1st of June 2015, the Hive is operating at 66% in the money rate, or a win rate, right? 65.8 to be precise. That's after 514 signals, which is actually quite a feat in engineering. It may not seem great for those of you that are very new to binary options. You're probably wondering, what is this guy going on about with 65%? That's pretty low end of the curve. There are a lot of services out there offering me 80 and 90% ITM. But get real, when you will eventually catch up with us on the knowledge curve, you'll find out that 66% is actually pretty fantastic performance. And especially at this level of volume, signal volume, that's 514 signals. And these are pretty well distributed. It's not like you had no signals on 2 days and this barrage of signals all on one day. The run rate is about 23 signals per day, or about one per hour, roughly speaking, slightly below that, right? And 66% ITM equates to about 2 out of 3 trades being won, roughly speaking. Okay. Now, the thing is, this number here gives us confidence about what we're doing is right. The mathematics that we are investing in and that we are using to create signals and signal streams for you, and the techniques that we're teaching the human traders and the vetting processes of BSB are working. Otherwise, you can't produce this over this type of a volume, right? And this includes good risk management as well. Um, Having said that, there is a worrying side to this as well. We didn't expect the last 4 weeks to be at 66%, right? Although a lot of our streams are back tested, if you look at the extreme, the core, the dive, the turbo, if you look at the senior traders, they have historical win rates of close to 70%. But it's very rare that historical back tests actually match forward trading performance, as you know. And in our case, it's actually produced that. So we're watching this very carefully. If I was a trader right now, I would actually massively reduce my risk appetite for the next coming weeks, especially given what's happening with Greece, and just take it a bit easier because we do not expect the Hive to perform at this high level. We do expect profitability somewhere over 61, 62%, but at 66% and at 500 signals, these are the type of multiples which can destabilize a broker, right? If you have 500 signals and you have 10,000 people following them at one or two brokerages, it's pretty much game over for their balance sheet. So that's good for us, but obviously we need to see, how smart the Hive is, and we need to do everything we can as per these steps here to ensure that we're at least as close to this as possible, right? And I will tell you one thing. I don't ever see Signal Hive as a group producing over 70% ITM in any given week. 66% is pretty damn good enough, and I don't see it going to 70, 75%. So that was the group. And this is how it kind of looks if you chart it out. Now, the good news is in the analytics section, which I'm going to give you a bit more detail about, you have access to this and you can actually see how the Hive would have performed hypothetically in the last 3 years. So it's a pretty nifty tool. But this is just since the 1st of June, right? Since the last 4 weeks launched, and these are the individual trading days. And the red line, by the way, is the minimum benchmark. So this is below this, the Hive becomes unprofitable. Okay? And it's about 57%. The reason I'd say 57% is you need 56.8% to be profitable on normal trades that have a payout of about 80%, 78 to 80%. On the turbo trades, which represent about 30 to 35% of trades given in Hive, both robotic and both human, you need a higher payout, as you know. They give you a lower payout. You get about 70% on average, which means you need a higher hurdle rate, a minimum performance win rate in order to be profitable. And that's about 59%. So the average comes out at about 57.5%. And that's where this red line has been drawn. Now, the Hive has been live for about 4 weeks, roughly speaking, 20, 21 business days. And out of these days, it's been well above the benchmark level. On 2 days, it was unprofitable, I think at 52% and then at 56% ITM, the Hive as a group, right? But you'll see that as long as this orange line remains above red, the Hive is performing in line or ahead of our expectations. Okay? Let's look at robotic performance. So out of the 515 signals fired in the Hive, robots represented about 285. Okay? Their ITM was about 65%. Again, roughly speaking, 2 out of 3 trades won. Excuse me. The frequency equates to about 13 robotic signals per day, or about 1 every 2 hours. All right? And this is the robotic performance visualized since launch. Okay, you can see a bit more variance which is normal given that the volume is lower for the robots than the group. So you'll see the robots did have 1 or 2 or 3 unprofitable days, but overall they performed very well, close to 65% at a very high signal volume, mind you. And let's look at human performance. So the humans actually blasted less signals than the robots, 230 signals or 229, but they had a 67% win rate, which is fantastic. Now, there are some adjustments in there, upward adjustments, where the trader won, the clients won, but the system showed a loss. And those we'll explain later in the rooms. I've already explained them before. But the good news is that if you look at total performance for BSB, whether it's in BSB education or in Hive, every time there are adjustments, they account for under 3% of total signals fired, right? So it's not like we're adjusting 40, 50% of our performance, because that would just be erroneous. But there are some weird instances where, because humans are giving signals, you have fat fingers. Typos are put inside the price. All the clients won, but the system obviously is very strict. It's mathematical, so it took the wrong end price. So we need to make certain adjustments. But this is a pretty clean figure, 67% after 230 signals. Okay, and that's about 10 signals per day. If you've subscribed to all 4 traders, you should be receiving about 10 signals per day, or 1 every 2 hours, similar to the robots. And this is how human performance looks. Humans had in total 4 losing days out of the 20. The rest were winning, which is fantastic. But you'll also notice that humans are more emotional. There is more volatility expected. I will go over later which were the best performing traders and the best performing streams, okay, which is, I know, what you're all here for. But if I combine these two, right, so if I look at the human performance and I look at the robotic performance, I get a pretty smooth curve, which is the group Hive, right? This is the group Hive performance, and it's above the red line, which is the watermark or the hurdle rate. And we want Hive to remain above this, and we're going to do everything we can to keep Hive above this, because that's when it starts to add value to your trading. The more times it goes below the red line and sustainably stays there, it means we're not doing our job right in R&D. Okay, so this is the face-off, right? There are 2 camps of people in the BSP management. The one camp is basically that says eventually human traders will be obviated, right? The mix of trading skill but equally emotions basically makes humans very inefficient at trading. Robots will prevail. I mean, that's one camp. The other camp says no, absolutely not. I mean, it's the humans that created the robots. If you can get the human trader, to follow a good risk management system, which may be the 5-2 rule that we teach at BSB, or 2-0, or some sort of stop loss rule, humans can just assimilate so much more concurrent data in the market, both technical and fundamental, that robots just won't be able to do, at least for the foreseeable future, right? So the debate continues. If you look at ITM, for those of you that are ITM junkies, and it's not meant in any derogatory manner, I'm an ITM junkie as well. Humans outperform robots in ITM terms, in win rate terms, by 2 percentage points, right? So 67% versus 65% roughly. And that's all good. That's actually fantastic, right? I mean, I think to some degree, clients, you feel more comfort that a human is giving a signal than a robot. But what I do want to point out is that ITM is not everything. Okay, so robots deliver 24% more signals. Robots deliver 285 signals versus 230, roughly, right? Thereby generating a higher profit factor. So actually, the profit factor, which is your profit multiple, is 44 times for the robots versus just 34 times for the humans. So if these signals were auto-traded, you'd be way more profitable with the robots this month than you would have with the humans. And that's an important point to note, right? In the end, I can be 100% ITM trader if I give you 1 signal a month, right? Probably. I could give you 12 signals a year and I can say I had a great year. There were 12 signals. No one's going to pay me $5 for that, right? So at the same time, although I'm very happy about the human ITM, 67% is off the charts good. It's really, really, really good. It's at a lower signal volume than robots, and considerably so. So I would, at least so far, it is looking as if you're looking for pure profit opportunities, robots are leading the humans. But if you're looking for higher quality trades, then you're probably going to get them from the humans. All right. But at this moment, we can't give a clear um, conclusion on which of the two are going to be leading the pack 6 months from now. The answer is we actually don't know. All right. And now these are the rankings. Okay. So as you know, Signal Hive at the moment has 9 streams live that have been back tested and forward tested. And we're currently in the process of adding another 3 robotic streams and 2 senior human traders. All right. And 2 of them are in training at the moment. Now, if you look at the rankings, this is our bellwether signal, the turbo, which is performing very good also under our automatic trading program. This produced 109 signals. You remember robots fired in total 285, if I recall correctly. And the turbo generated 109 signals out of that 285 and at a fantastic win rate of 73.4%. The core followed shortly. It was at 67% with half the volume or more than half the volume at 42 signals. And then the dive, which newly debuted just 2 weeks. So we got much lower volume in this last month than we're going to get in the coming month because it only had 2 weeks of performance. This was 57 signals at 63.2%. All 3 are profitable. And so is Curve. Curve had a tough start to the month, but we're happy to say that at 58%, it's still a profitable signal. You just need to apply the Curve theory that we're teaching over on the dashboard. Just enter the trades when it's near a support, and you can beat this ITM, right? Because structurally speaking, Curve is a 66% signal. So we're very happy with these 4 signals. The extreme is we've added a stabilizer to it. We're watching it like hawks, and we're going to be taking measures if necessary if we don't see this coming up, because this is not meeting Hive standards, performance standards by far, right? I mean, with respect, a monkey could beat 50%. I could beat 50% by just flipping a coin. So at 48.6%, we're watching this very carefully. Let's look at the human signals. So obviously a shout out goes out to the best trader this month, which was the key. He's himself quite new, but he has been trained by Niels, who is a longtime member and a co-founder of BSB. And we're very happy to see that his performance was better than any robotic signal stream at a very decent volume, close to 60 signals, 81%. That is incredible. That actually is incredible. And this is Hive performance with maybe 5 adjustments, right? So it's very difficult to cheat the Hive, so to put it, because it's just in price, out price. It's purely robotically calculated. So this is fantastic. We're very pleased by this. And of course, no credit taken away from Alpha, who's again performing well above what we normally believe humans can perform at for a sustained period. He's at 71% with 61 signals. Inside this, his EODs are close to 90% ITM. And the robots, the turbos are about 65, 66%, which is why you're getting a weighted, volume-weighted average of 70.5%, right? And then you have Tiki, who is our oldest, and I don't mean that in terms of age, but in terms of tenure at BSB. He's our long-standing trader who has had a fantastic month. I mean, he is normally above 70%. This month, 67%. That's kind of fine. There was a bit of an adjustment period to Hive, but in the last 2 weeks, he was literally at close to 100%. So we're very happy with the 55, the volumes, the signals, and of course the ITM, which is for us again off the charts, right? It's close to 5 to 6 percentage points better than we want any of these signals to perform. So again, it's very good. And of course, like with the extreme, we're carefully watching El Rey's performance that has drastically underperformed this month on the Hive. There is an adjustment period there as well. Given how knowledgeable El Rey is and how talented he is as a trader, we feel it's just a brief bump along his longer term journey, and we believe this performance will recover very shortly as well, with some course corrections that he's making soon. All right. So these are the rankings for the month of June. Let's discuss a little bit about how to trade the Hive. So this is what we suggest. Of course, it's up to you how you wish to do it. But what I would like to remind you is that Signal Hive is a signal service, and it's an extremely high risk financial product that can result in total ruin of your account if you're not careful. So what we would suggest is view your journey in Hive through three stages. The first stage is please trade as many signals as you can. Force yourself to really stress test the Hive, but do it with virtual or demo money. That's when you sign up for the first time, right? And this may require you to sign up to all free trials for all the human traders and the paid for robotic streams, but you can cancel these at any time you like before the 3 days are up, so you won't be charged. So don't worry about being charged. You can cancel them on the second day or early on the third day. The key is you want to find what works for you. There are a lot of signals being blasted, almost 25 per day, and that figure is probably going to move close to 30, if not 40, by the end of the year because we have a very large development signal rollout pipeline, right? And more signals are being added. So Hive is just in its infancy. So please, use virtual money, and you're not going to get rich with the Hive in 1 month anyway. You need to take a long-term view on this, so you lose nothing by spending 1 or 2 weeks in really demo money trading all these signals to find out what works for you. Now, in stage two, after you are done, after about a week or maybe 2 weeks, you should have become comfortable in how the Hive actually works. Its kind of idiosyncrasies, which we're of course working on as well, how signals are fired and which ones are suited to you in terms of time zone, and of course frequency, because some signals are only fired once in a while, and most importantly, win rate. Okay. Then once you have literally done this grid analysis, which ones you want to focus on, then cancel the ones that are not suited to you, right? Because nothing is more irritating, if I may say so, if someone just joins the Hive and sits there for 3 days looking at some of the robot signals, um, and that's all fine, but then they're kind of looking at the human signals that are performing really great, but they've not even signed up for the free trial, so they don't actually know the true performance potential of Hive. So please go ahead and test all the signals out, and you can cancel the free trials at any given point in time. Once you've done stage two, stage three is you can start trading the Hive, and that may be after 2 weeks you've actually joined, right? 1 or 2 weeks. Um, Use your appropriate money management. We think the most conservative thing to do is just make sure that no signal accounts for more than 2% of your account balance, right? And I'm assuming that you have an account balance of somewhere in the range of $1,000, kind of that range. If your account balance is $10,000 or 20,000, then you don't want to be using the 2% rule because that's too high. You probably want to come down to 0.3%, 0.5%, and you can even use splits, right? The splitting starts to make sense with larger accounts. Okay. So this is the final part of the webinar. I'm just going to discuss a few new features that are coming your way. Hive Analytics, we're very happy about this. A lot of you have asked for it, so we have delivered it. I think I would say it's kind of 80% done. The ETA to this, the estimated time of arrival, is 1 week, and it will show up as a button on all of your Hive interfaces. Right. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows you to view the group performance of Hive, all the charts I've shown you today on this webinar, and individual signal performance over time. You can also view the rankings by signal stream compared to each other. You can view win rates by currency pair by signal stream. So, some streams work better with some pairs, some don't. You can also view win rates by GMT time frame by signal stream. So you can see which signals are doing best at what time of the day. And this is actually not a feature. This is just us telling you that we're not going to allow you to download the data just for now. The second feature that we've been forward testing for the last month successfully, I'm pleased to say, is the Hive SWAT. It's the SWAT team, we call it, and it's basically Signal Hive but automated. So we're in the final stages of actually launching Hive SWAT, which is falling under the BSB automatic trading program, right? Where we launched our 2 auto trader streams. They've been live for the last, I think, 2 months now. Both are profitable as we speak. And this Hive SWAT will effectively allow you to auto trade the Hive. Okay. And we have a dedicated member, the head of BSB automatic trading program, Otto, who will guide you step by step through how you set it up and how it actually works. There is some technicalities involved in this. And please note, there's a separate webinar on this, probably next week, if not 10 days from now, where we'll go over everything, including the commercials and all of that. Okay, so that's it. That was the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me now. Hi, Diana. So Diana's asking, what is the cost of the auto trader? Will we be able to choose which human trader we wish to follow using the auto trader? Yes, Diana, you will. And there is a one-off setup cost, which we are making no margin on, by the way. The one-off cost is actually a technical cost that we're incurring. That one-off setup cost is $200, and thereafter it will cost you about $150 a month, roughly speaking. So I'm glad you asked the question. This auto trader, because there's a lot of infrastructure behind it, is not cheap. It's not something we're ever going to be pushing because you know our views on the state of auto trading. But it probably will be a high quality product, but it will also be quite an expensive product. Tim, great question. Tim is asking, why are the percentages you showed today different than what the Hive dashboard is currently showing? Is that the adjustment factor? Yes, Tim. There are two. There's the adjustment, the manual adjustments that we've made, and the second factor is the timing differences when the cutoff here was taken for these screenshots and what you're seeing in the Hive. So that explains the small difference you may see sometimes in the charts I show you here at the monthly performance updates or what I post in the Skype rooms versus what the Hive is showing. But it should never be worlds apart. If it is, please let us know. Then there's definitely something that's gone wrong. Okay, great question from Stani. When are you releasing the BSP Dash advanced indicator? So this is exactly what our team is working on now, believe it or not. The analytics section of Hive was completed on Thursday, and immediately all our resources have been rerouted to the advanced indicators. So that is our number one priority now, and I think around possibly 5 days from now, the dashboard will be significantly upgraded with all the latest algorithms for the indicators. And we're also adding 2 or 3 brand new indicators as well. Diana, your question of what is the URL for the Hive? It's basically app.signalhive.com. All right. That's app, so app, P for Papa, dot signalhive.com. And that's where you log in. If you go to signalhive.com, there should be a big button at the top that says login, and that will take you there as well. Any other questions? Okay, Tim, you have an interesting question. Tim is asking on how to trade. What do you recommend for part-time traders on learning Hive trading? That is, those of us who cannot devote an intensive 3 days or more to get to stage 3. So, Tim, what I would say is that um, let the human traders guide you. Subscribe to the human traders because they will basically be giving most probably in the longer run slightly more accurate signals. Maybe not in terms of volume, but in terms of the win rate. And you can also have an ongoing discussion with them, right? Find out more about their signal style, etc. So you get used to it. It's basically what you've been doing with Mike over the last few months, right? It's the same thing. So we've replicated that part in Hive as well. It's mainly my comment about taking those 3 days was actually more aimed at the robotic streams. So you get comfortable with how they fire, when they fire, because a lot of people um, complained about the turbos and the dives when they were launched. They said, "Well, I can't get into the turbo and dive." And my response to that is, "Well, that's your fault. I mean, get used to how Hive works. They fire every day after 3 p.m. and you get a decent quantity. Sorry, we can't predict when they're going to fire, so get used to it. Spend some time there and find out when they fire." That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. But if you're a leisurely trader, you don't have too much time to commit. Stick to the human streams. Any other questions, anybody? Okay, last call for questions. Thank you, Tim, for the kind words. Yep, definitely, very, very much so. Okay, I see no more questions. So I'm going to assume that your queries have been answered. You can again ping me on Skype or just send an email to support@signalhive.com or support@blueskybinary.com if I've missed anything, and we'll touch base there. One final note about next week, so that you guys are not caught unaware. You are probably going to get unprecedented levels of macroeconomic volatility across a lot of asset classes, which means your ITM could drop to 0%. It could. No matter whose signals you follow, no matter what strategies you're trading, because there's a lot of systemic risk that's built up and it could manifest itself in crazy moves, especially around Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, again, this is a very, very real and clear warning, right? That next week you can probably blow your account if you're not careful. So just be very, very careful because of what's happening in Greece. Thanks.